Hi, everybody. Welcome once again. This is our third presentation in this month. I am so excited that we have had and we have been able to offer to you three presentations so far, and I'm really excited for what's to come. Now, as my friend Samantha Page asked me earlier if I was supposed to do a different presentation today, that's because initially I was going to be talking about soaring student engagement through a proficiency mindset. So if you're excited about that, I moved that till next week because I think it is so important to address the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight, which is becoming a brain-friendly teacher, meaning that we look into that science in the classroom as we are developing our activities. So I want to welcome you guys tonight. And I know that you're going to learn a lot along my side. I'm not leading the session tonight, but what I mean by that is that we're going to learn together. And that is the reason that I created this space for us, so that we can learn together. And one more thing I want to say before I turn it over to Yanina, who's our presenter for tonight, is that there is no anything that I bring to our group. I'm not telling you guys that it is the magic pill or that it is absolutely going to revolutionize your teaching, because every single presentation that we have done, you have to look into it and apply it to your teaching context. But from every single topic that we look at, you know your students better than I know your student, my student, you students. So you know your students better than anyone else. So you are the expert in your classroom. So what we're hoping to give you tonight and every other session in the coming weeks is just a look into what works for us, what science says, like tonight, and you apply what you think it's going to be the best for your specific group of students. We understand that our students have diverse needs, and we can't just do a one-size-fits-all, but there's definitely a lot that we can learn from science. So I'm going to turn it over to Yanina, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. But before I do that, I'm forgetting, I have a lot of new people. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And I just want to kind of introduce myself once again. My name is Berta Delgadillo, and I am a high school Spanish teacher from Savannah, Georgia. I'm originally from Mexico, but I've been living in Savannah, Georgia for a long time. I've been in the United States for 23 years. And now I am just excited again to learn with you, and I'm excited to turn it over to Yanina, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, Berta, and everyone else. Thank you so much for having me. I have to tell you that Berta cares so much about you. When she was talking to me about you, she was doing it in such a caring way. You have a good leader. So thank you, Berta, for facilitating this. You're amazing. I am going to stick in this group because the way you provide information and experiences for the group is amazing. You can't find it in many places. So I'm going to stick here with you. And now about me, I am an elementary teacher. I teach multi-grade. I am a PhD student in cognitive neuroscience, and I leave the fancy stuff on the side and I translate everything into best practices for classroom design and instruction that can be brain friendly for our students. And I want to say again that what Berta says, that you have to take whatever works for you and leave the rest on the side, because you know your students. So thank you so much, Berta, for saying that.
Absolutely.
And I am from Illinois.
Yes, because that is important. We have a lot of people connecting from all over the United States. So yes. So that's always important. So we can go ahead and get started, Yanina.
Okay. Thank you so much again for tuning in. We're going to talk about two things that are based in three functions of the brain. And that is, when we do classroom design or learning space design or a homeschool room design or whatever the room you use to teach your students, we need to have in consideration three things. And that is, in that place, we have to provide a place that engages and energizes the brain, another place within the same space, a place that focuses the brain, and also another place that calms the brain. And then we will be talking about instructional strategies that do the same. And I will explain why later. We're going to, yes. Well, I said that, and I love cognitive neuroscience. I have loved it that's another story, but since I was little. And I am so happy that I will be talking about this because it is truly my passion. And I am connecting the dots now between the brain and the school. So cognitive neuroscience is the bridge that informs teachers what is best for your student's brain. And those are some of my favorite books. And I have to tell you, I have read a ton of books, but they all have the same principles. So that is very interesting because, the brains have the same functions. Of course, we have to use practices that reach each student brain in different ways, but the brain functions are the same. That's why we are going to divide everything in three
categories.
Functions, yes. And the next one. And I am going to be talking about things that I put up in my guide, and I'll tell you later about it. It is a guide that I have been working on for the last 4 years, and I will be taking some things from it.
And I just want to chime in and say that, as always, I will be providing the link to this presentation at the end of the presentation. Earlier, I shared with you guys a PDF with a note catcher that Yanina developed. So if you were able to print that out, you can follow right along.
Okay, let's talk about how we can meet those 3 needs in classroom design. In any room you have, try to have a space that stimulates, engages, and energizes the brain. Provide a place, one wall, because this is important. We can't have all the walls very engaging and stimulating and energizing. So provide a wall or a corner or maybe even a box or something that you can provide engagement to your students, because this is very important. We can't go into a room that is very neutral or calm, because the way information is going to get into the brain is through engagement. But that has to be reflected also on the walls of your classroom, because the walls are thought to be another teacher. If you were not in your room and your students walks inside alone, the walls will tell a lot about you, and the walls will tell a lot about how you think about education and the process of teaching and learning. So the walls gives a huge and important message to your students. So in that wall, put up posters, bright lights, bright posters. You don't have to provide chairs. You can have a standing desk, or you can have a box, or just a table so they can be standing in. The hippocampus that is in charge of the long-term memory can be stimulated by movement. So in that space, provide space for movement too. That way you give the time and space for your students to move when you don't provide a lot of chairs, and you have a sort of workshop. Their brains will like that and will permit to be more creative and enthusiastic about what they have to learn. So in this place, please leave everything you were working on. That means if you are at home or in your room, if they are working on something, you don't have to clean everything up and say, okay, let's leave it, let's clean it up and we will come back later, because that will not be there to keep inviting students to finish that project. And they know that they can go there whenever they feel that they need to be engaged, and you too. So leave that there if you have the space. If
And
you don't, that's okay, you can leave it in a box.
And I want to chime in, as a language teacher, and I want to say that having those walls, inviting and creating walls is so important. I remember when I was teaching middle school early in my career, I really invested some time in decorating my classroom. Now, my classroom was not a Pinterest classroom, and it's not a Pinterest classroom, but at that time, I really, minions were it. So I created some posters that were connected to Spanish with minions. And the students who never had my class, I remember one time they were in line, because this was middle school. They still do lines in middle school. And one of them said, oh my God, I cannot wait to get to this class. It looks so, the assistant principal happened to be right there, and she just took pictures of my classroom, and then she sent an email to everybody about what an inviting classroom looks like. And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because totally the walls in our classroom really are kind of like an extension of us, and I use mine for to be able to scaffold, to be able to direct. I have a lot of bright colors. And I might have to take down one of my walls because you're gonna talk about the calm later, but because my classroom is really, really bright and popping. But absolutely, I love what you have said, Yanina, about how if the student walks in there and I'm not there, it should still be able to, talk to the student about who I am as a teacher.
Exactly, and what experience they are going to have. When you have things that are not finished, they are not open, they get the message that they can work on that. It is a live place, or as other people say, a lived place. Not everything is in exactly hidden because you finished. It is there inviting and kind of getting the message, please come and work. Please be creative. Please, I'm here with a lot of things that you can put your hands on. So it constantly sends a message like your creativity and your engagement and your ideas are invited, and I have the place and time for you. So that it is crucial that whatever you choose to do in that space can be as we described it, but it can take the form of whatever you can, whatever you have. If you don't have a wall, you can just put a table. I have teachers who told me, just put a table there with puzzles, with things that they can go there when they feel like they need to have the creative juices flowing, or a box. So a wall, box, or a table. So it doesn't have to be, a workplace.
I love the idea of a box because I'm not sure if we have any traveling teachers who are listening to us tonight, but we do know that traveling teachers are a reality. The teachers who have to carry around a cart because they don't have a classroom, so a box for them will be ideal.
Exactly. And now let's go to the focusing walls. Well, this one, you need to have 1 to 2 focus walls. Focus walls, you need to have a few things on those walls, but those things are the things that you are teaching at the moment, not 3 units ago, or at least you have something that you really need to be up there throughout the whole year. Like Bertha said, where you should put on your focus walls.
Absolutely, and for world language teachers, what would be on our focus wall will be the sweet 16 verbs, which are the most highly frequent verbs in our target languages that we're teaching. Or it could be our question words that are kind of late acquired, and we always need to have them up in the wall. Or performance descriptors to lead our students so that we can help them focus on their goals. And I will let you continue, Janina.
No, please chime in, because you are also bringing a bridge to your teacher. So I thank you for that. In those focus walls, if we can go back, in those focus walls, it is really important that you don't cover everything, because if you have a white space around it, so you don't put it all one besides the other one, leave a white space, because that white space in your students' brains make possible that your students zoom in those posters. So have white spaces around those focus walls so they can zoom in and really focus on what they need to focus. And they know where it is. So don't put the things they need to see all scattered. Put it on a wall so they know exactly where to look when they need that information.
Absolutely. I think I mentioned last week when I was talking with my friend Claudia Elliott, we did a presentation last week on intermediate learners and scaffolding for them. And I mentioned that at the beginning of the year, one thing that has been a best practice for me and for my students, which you're totally welcome to use and adapt or try in your classroom for the people who are listening to us tonight, is at the beginning of the year, the first week of school, maybe like the second day, I give my students a tour of my room and I tell them what everything is and what they're going to use it for. So I tell them about the sweet 16 verbs, and some of them are already familiar with those because they come to me for Spanish 2, 3, and AP. Or the question words, or like the performance descriptors that I talked about earlier. And I tell them what can they use them for, and I tell them they're there for you to use to aid your learning and to aid your experience in the classroom. So it is super important to be intentional with everything that we put in our classrooms and let our students know what it's there for.
Exactly. And the other wall, remember we talked about one has to be the engaging wall, and then 2 for focus, and the last one needs to be completely empty. And this is where
that's we can. For me.
It's impossible. I know. I feel you, because side note, I was one of the ones who had everything in every inch of the room with a decoration. The superintendent came to my room for a reason, and she said, "Yanina, you need to take everything down."
Ooh.
I thought like the end of the world was coming. And I took everything down, and she said, "Live with it for a few days and then put things up." I am another person now. So I invite you to do the same. Put everything down, because if you don't put everything down, it is like your closet. Oh, I might need this. I might need that. I might need that. So take everything down, and then you can start from 0. That is the engaging wall. 2 focus walls, and the one that is still empty, sorry, you're out of ideas. It is empty. Leave it like that. Leave it like that. Because I have entire seminars just talking about one thing: blank spaces. Blank spaces not only calms the brain, that is a whole nother issue that we need students to become, to look at one place and find that white space. Not only for that reason, but for this reason. Whatever you put into your students' brains, whatever you put there, will not be settled or will not be transferred to the long-term memory if there is not a white space in between to settle that information. It is said, when you learn something, go for a walk, and it will settle in the brain. That's totally true. When you have a lot of information, like now, I want you to turn everything off and be in silent for a few minutes. And you will give the brain a space to organize and settle into your memory. If you don't do that, it is not going to happen. That also, it is an instruction, but in classroom design, it needs to be there. So whenever students are in the engaged room, in the focus wall, they can be always focused because the sustained attention is short. And then when you stimulate the brain, which is really good, if you're missing the third part, the other 2 things are useless. So leave that one empty, and in that wall, you can have a calm space. If you really need to have something, have a calm space. Another teacher asked me yesterday, what else can I put there? Because we have a hard time leaving things empty. And I said, okay, if you must put something, you can put plants, like things that are good for the brain, that are soothing for the brain. You can have music there, or you can have everything calmness related, because if you have that, the brain doesn't settle the information that you worked so hard.
Can I chime in and ask a question? And well, yes. I want to read some of the comments on our feed right now. We have Nelva said that is almost impossible, and I have to. I have to kind of agree with Nelva. Yes. I know it's impossible, but I know that I can do it. And then we have Samantha Page, who's saying she suspects her room could be overstimulating. I'm right there with you, Samantha. Iram is saying a calming wall, how amazing. Rebecca saying that is impossible. Number 1, wall of windows, another wall with whiteboard, and then wall with projector, and one wall with cabinets. What do I do? So do you have any other, yes. For a person like Rebecca, who is, she's really limited to her walls because, she has the board on one side, she has the projector on the other side. So what can
Yes.
a teacher who does not
The
have
window can be the calm space.
Sorry?
Yesterday, actually, this girl, this teacher told me, I don't have a wall for that. I just have a huge window. And I said, go with it. And especially if the window goes to an empty space or nature, that is better than a wide wall. If the window, if you have some things that you can put by the window, that is a calm space. That is actually an escape from the classroom. So it doesn't have to be wide, but it has to be an escape. So
Okay.
the window will work fine.
So something else, Yanina, that I want to mention as well, and maybe you can clarify for me since you are the expert at this. We a lot of our world language teachers, we have brain breaks in the classroom, and some of our brain breaks, of course, are to stimulate the students, and some of them are to calm the students, because we have some quiet brain breaks, or like breathing brain breaks, so we're like leading the students to breathe. Some teachers even do yoga, like some yoga for brain breaks. Would that work also to calm the brain if they don't have that wall option?
Yes, yes. You know what I did? Because my classroom is so small that I might have problems now with the 6 feet distance for this coming school year. That small it is. It is really small. So I don't have a huge white space, so I just put a whiteboard that I'm using, and then I erase it, and that will be the white wall for the white space, because I really don't have an entire wall. And I use the window too. And also, I don't want to forget this. Now there is a movement that we need to have neutral spaces in terms of colors. You can't have the whole classroom neutral or calm. The whole classroom, no, because you are then you are ignoring the other need. So don't think that your whole classroom should be calm. No, the 3 things have to be present however you wish.
Okay, thank you so much, Yanina. I want to read one more comment we have. Adam is saying you don't have to use every one of these walls, but the ones that work for your environment. It could be just a little corner. Take things out, less is more. So I totally agree. Thank you, Adam, for that comment. And Amina is saying that she has this same issue, that she shares a room with another teacher. So again, what would you suggest for teachers who are sharing a room, or for those teachers who go on a cart and walk into a room and they really don't have the flexibility?
I hope these 2 teachers can agree on these 3 spaces, and then in that space, within that space, they can do whatever they want. But I hope, and again, I don't want to use the word impossible, but I know how hard and tough it can be. I know. But if those 2 teachers can agree on these 3 spaces that are needed, then you can do whatever you want. And then also for the cart, make sure you have those 3 things that represent, there are cards with 3 tire things. One can be for engaging, another one focus activities, and another one calms activities. You can get the card with the 3 layers.
And then someone asked, can students have a time to just close their eyes and breathe? And that is, of course, a yes, right? That would be something else that calms the brain also.
Yes, totally. And that is part of the instructional strategies that we are going to talk about, because that has to be in instruction too. Absolutely. And there is one thing, they can close their eyes, or they can go get their journal out and write whatever they want, or doodling. Doodling it seems really basic, but doodling is the art of thinking, or the art of putting everything out. So you can have, doodle time. And
I totally agree, because I am an adult and I doodle. And when I doodle, I just feel like I gain a lot more from the experience.
Yes. And you calm the brain.
We're gonna go ahead and move on. I wanna address a question as Alicia asked. Has anyone asked about sanitizing sensory items? So Alicia, I know that right now we're living on a different moment, and it's going to change everything we do in our classroom. So that would be something I know we're all thinking, if we can't share utensils and school supplies when we go back to school. I know normally I provide my area for creativity. I have a little cart that has all the stuff my students need, and a lot of them don't even bring markers, and a lot of them sometimes are lacking pencils, and I have it all for them so that there are no excuses not to do the work. And I know once we go back, there might be other expectations for parents and for students, and that is something that we will have to probably consult with our administrations, because it's going to vary from school system to school system, I'm guessing.
Yes, or a box for each student, which is a lot, but we might have to come to that.
Yep.
Okay, brain-based instruction. Again, we are following the model of the 3 brain needs, which is energize and engage the brain, focus the brain, and calm the brain in instruction through instructional strategies. Let's go to engaging and energizing the brain. These strategies are very good to use when the student is about to tackle a hard concept, a really hard concept, that you have to bring that engagement, you have to bring all the hooks, because it is not going to get through. So let me tell you just a few strategies. And Bertha told me that you are the experts in engaging activities, so I am not going to teach you that. She told me that you are pro at all of these. So you have to teach me, but I'm going to tell you just a few. I have a lot more in the guide. I have over 700 strategies that I have collected, but learning centers, peer review, modeling, using in songs, conferencing, cooperative learning. This is also for a lot of group that is going to change in the fall, but you can still do it from a distance. Debate, project-based learning, readers theater, gallery walk. We love doing that. Time capsules, graffiti, blogging, debate, talk like an expert, escapes room. I love that. Class transformation, drama, design thinking, STEM labs, makerspace, living museums. There is one that I was going to tell you that it is one of the most powerful strategies ever for the brain, and that is the basic and simple thing as peer teaching. When you have a child teach to another one, the cognitive things that are going on here to teach another person, because when you are taught something, you receive it and they just put it like that in their brains, and sometimes they don't understand it.
Absolutely.
But they teach it, they have to organize that information in order to bring it to the language of their peers. That organization in order to teach it is powerful, and that engages the brain.
I think it is very powerful in our classrooms as well. I mean, I'm so happy to see this list, because I have I have my friends who are teachers, and I know people in this group, they are absolutely, a lot of them do role play, graffiti walls, gallery walks. Readers theater is so fun when we're reading novels in the classroom. They totally take them to another level. And I know teachers who teach languages, we rely a lot on music and songs as authentic resources in the classroom. And modeling, I mean, that's part of every lesson. Just about
exactly. And all these strategies that I am putting here require movement, getting up and move. And when you move, it settles the information. I love cognitive neuroscience, but my thing is long-term memory. Why are we in the classroom if we don't want students to last, in the information we teach to last for a very long time? We are in the business of making learning sticks for a long time, and that happens in the long-term memory. And the long-term memory, what loves the best is movement. I think that's the number one.
I know. And did you know, Yanina, I didn't mention this to you, but a lot of us, myself included, in world language teaching, we have deskless classrooms because we are, of a communicative approach. So because we want to focus on the input and providing comprehensible input to our students, and then we give them opportunities to use that input and communicate. And like I said, we integrate brain breaks, and our students are up and moving a lot of the time as well.
Perfect. Okay. By now you know all these 3 functions, I'm sure. Focus in the brain. There are some things that students really need to understand and really need to have as a base for what is coming next. And for that, they need to focus. And these focus activities that you're going to see now are really going to help you do that. There are some things that are not negotiable. They need to know it in order to move on. So can you show the next slide, please? And that is when you do text to self, text to text, that is a lot of focus. Like for that, you really need to provide a calm space. The music and everything else needs to stop. Even my students say, for this, we have to kind of be in silence. Close read, assuming, all the types of graphic organizing, breaking down, judging, metacognition. Metacognition is when students, you know that when they reflect on their own learning process and how they learn that piece of content. So that requires a lot of focus.
Absolutely. And then not only that, it's kind of like you said, peer teaching. I mean, it's not the same thing, but I mean, as far as how powerful it is to our students,
yes,
it's on that level. It's very powerful. In world languages, we have some rubrics that a friend of mine, Megan Buck, she created that are called Glow and Grow. And it allows the students to do some, metacognitive user abilities to think about what they did well at their level and what they can do to move on and progress. And then I can think, looking at this list and analyzing the work we do in world languages, we are absolutely using graphic organizers left and right, especially with novice students, all the way to our intermediate students. And that is just a big part of what we do in the classroom, especially when we're using authentic resources in the classroom. And we integrate a lot of graphic organizers. I know that when we do interpretive reading activities in the classroom, I have a handout that I will be happy to share with you guys after our presentation that I use to be able to guide the students in a reading to put a little sign in the reading when they find a text to self connection. I love it when I can lead them to connect their text to their lives and somehow, or to their community.
They feel seen and heard. And before we go to the last one, I need to stop and encourage you by letting you know that these strategies are not strategies that you're going to post on Instagram and look really trendy. Because everything we see on social media, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok now, are activities and places in the room that are all crazy and engaging. That's fine, because we need that. We truly need, I hope we do that. But that's not all. This is when learning is happening, but it's not Instagrammable. So don't feel like if you're not doing all those engaging activities, or your students are not learning, because these are the ones that are powerful, but are not super cute to show to the world. But who cares?
Absolutely.
You need to care about your students, even though this is not trendy, because trend doesn't have anything to do with true learning. This is not things that I invented. These are things that have worked forever. That doesn't mean that we don't try new things, but we don't have to be on the lookout for trendy stuff, because we know what works best for our students. And these things work. So even if they are not cute or post-worthy, who cares? We are doing the best for our students to focus.
Thank you so much for saying that, Yanina, because sometimes it is so easy. And I know that a lot of teachers, myself included, sometimes we fall in the trap of comparing ourselves to what's out there. What I share, sometimes, I have my account on Instagram, and I am on Facebook, obviously, and I am constantly sharing things that I do in the classroom, never with the intention to look at what I'm doing kind of thing, but just like, okay, if it works for your class, go ahead, use it and adapt it. I share that handout that I just told the audience today that I'm going to share with them. I shared it in the past, and it was just a picture of it looked like a worksheet, but honestly, it was such a powerful a little sheet that I can just pull and invite my students to use over and over. I'm sorry?
There's nothing wrong with worksheets. I use them a lot too, especially here.
Yeah, and it's actually the task in the activity, in the worksheet, or on the paper, um, that actually matters. So
Exactly. It's like how you said, if you know it is working for your students, that's all it matters, nothing else.
and
That's
and
why
I
we're here.
and I love to see. I know that a lot of our teachers tonight who are watching this can see the list. I'm so thankful that you brought this list to talk about tonight and discuss it, because I know that a lot of them are going to see a lot of the strategies they are using, and it is so validating, because sometimes we are being sold or not sold. That might not be the word, or yes, sold. Oh,
Yes,
this is the one method, and this is the one method, and really it's about knowing our students and having a repertoire of
exactly.
strategies to reach them, and using them to lead them to on their learning journey. Especially, I always like to call the learning journey of acquiring a language, and that might be look different for different students, because they have different cognitive abilities. Um,
Exactly. And not all students are into music and movement, and not all of them, not all of them. That's why we have to have the three present without saying this doesn't work, the three present. And now the last one, we need to add strategies, instruction strategies that calm the brain. Again, not only because you need a break, but because you need the information to come into the long-term memory. If you don't have that, it doesn't go there. It stays there all super good and crazy, but it doesn't go to the long-term memory. So these are some activities that you can use for that. Again, not Instagrammable, but super powerful. Let me show you. Journaling, note-taking, diaries, writing letters, independent studying, free reading, audio lessons. You just have a book there and they listen and they calm down. Journaling, reflection, painting, coloring, reading, use of clay, free study time. Nothing wrong with saying, take this time to do free study. Write letters, listening to podcasts, response to text in anywhere they want, response to clips, to lectures, puzzles, music, word search, connecting dots, collages, designing posters, and work in the camp space. Just going there to work in the camp space. Those are just a few. And I know you have a lot that you
I
can
know. I
remember.
love. Like I said once again, and I sound like a broken record, but a lot of these we do. Like I said, it's so validating. And Nelva was saying, "Yay, I love it," because this encourages me to keep going. I am an old lady. No, Nelva, you're not, and not always on the trend. If something is working for you in the classroom, why
Yes,
stop doing it? Doesn't matter,
yes,
what else someone else is saying, who claims to be the expert, because we're all on a learning journey.
exactly.
And Yanina, you are getting your PhD, and like this is your jam, but I'm sure you totally can relate with the fact that you're always learning as well, right?
Yes, yes.
So we
And
never to stop
we
learning
never
as
have to
teachers.
be kind of sold on one thing. Don't even get sold on what I'm saying. And we also have to be open to all the things. Even I was talking to Bertha even before this. I am also reading books about, like, now I want to get a book about explaining, which is about communication, nothing to do with education, but I got a clue that the message that we use to talk to our students also might be confusing because we are too close to what we know that we might not be explaining it well. And I got that idea from a communication field. So we can't just go in our field and what our thought leaders say in our little field. Now it is going to be second language, but to expand, to get things from everywhere to apply it to
Absolutely.
what works.
I absolutely, I would be the first one to advocate and say for second language acquisition. In the like for teachers to read books on second language acquisition, it is so important. But I'll be the first one to tell them that, because that totally has changed my practice, and I believe in reading and educating ourselves on second language acquisitions, and not just one approach or not just one way of doing it, but just kind of be open and see what's
Yes.
going to work with your students. I mean, there's one thing that is always going to work. Like for me, I have to have a lot of comprehensible input messages in my classroom at all time. Everything revolves around that.
Yes.
However, there are a lot of strategies I've learned from English language arts teachers, especially for my intermediate students and my advanced students. A lot of strategies I've learned from social studies teachers, because I do a lot of content-based learning in the classroom as well, because you can do that with intermediate students, and even at the novice level, you can for languages, we can integrate content-based learning that is, we can still provide it in a way that we're still providing comprehensible input in the classroom. But all of these ideas, I am very open. I follow a lot of teachers who are English language arts teachers and social studies teachers and science teachers on Instagram, because I get a lot of amazing ideas from them I can integrate in my class. And I think we need to be open to that. We need to be the experts for our students, not the experts among our colleagues, because we all have our classrooms and we all serve a different population of students, and and we just need to be real about that.
I love what you said. We need to be experts to our students, but not among other teachers, because we need to do what works for us. Oh, I love that.
I think we need to, respect everybody else's classroom and how they approach things in their classroom, as far as like what methods they use to teach their students. Everybody, most of the teachers we are doing the best we can with what we're given. And just like it happened just now for the global pandemic, and we had to teach online and a lot of us had no training. We were just,
and now more than ever, we have to provide these kind of activities where students are not consuming, but now getting things out. And when they come back to the classroom, they will have to get things out through these activities. So more than ever, we need to give them time to express themselves, because they are not going to be the same coming to our classroom.
Yes. I know I was not the only one. I think a lot of our educators, and myself included, we're thinking about the students we are going to open our doors to if we are indeed going back to school in August, or for me, the end of July, coming up pretty closely, are not going to be the same students. It's not going to be your usual back to school, because they're going to have different needs, and we need to be ready for those needs. Can you tell us, Yanina, a little bit of what might we expect differently from our students coming in next year? I know I kind of like, threw that question at you.
We are going to have everything. We are going to have students who had the best time of their lives. They were with mommy and daddy at home. They could eat whenever they want. They could watch TV whenever they want. And now coming back to a structured environment are not going to be good for them. And then we have the ones who went through, who knows what they went through, and they are going to want us to be structured. So we will have to be individualizing our instruction to all this spectrum, because they are going to come different, but in our classroom they are going to be also different among themselves according to what they had to go through to the pandemic. For many, the pandemic was a blessing because they had everything at home. And for others was almost tragedy, because they went from losing someone to not having to eat. So it is going to take from us getting to know each one of our students to serve them better.
Absolutely. And have that empathy.
Yes.
And hopefully our schools will provide some trauma-informed education, or, we can ask for that. I think as teachers, if your school is not providing that to you at the beginning of the year, we definitely can raise our voices and request that. I know that I can absolutely mention it to my principal, and he will do something to try to connect me either to something for me to study personally, or he might bring a training to the whole school.
Oh, that's good.
So we have some questions or some comments that I kind of want to read over. Nancy said, thank you for reminding us. If it works, don't change it, keep using it. Yes, absolutely. Dee said, free voluntary reading in a world language, probably wouldn't be calming for students since they need to focus. What do you think, Yanina? Free voluntary reading. We do this practice a lot in the classroom because what we have in our classrooms, we have libraries. Some of the teachers, we actually, whether we invested on it or we got it funded somehow, we have a libraries with readers for Spanish or French or German or Italian, whatever language it is that we teach, and at different levels. So the students have free voluntary reading. So the teacher might decide to give them 5 minutes or 10 minutes to read whatever they want to read according to their level. It's just
Good.
pleasure reading. So would you consider that to be a calm?
Yes, totally.
Okay,
Calm.
so
Because focus would be to read with the intention of doing reading comprehension questions at the end.
okay. So an interpretive reading activity would be a focus activity,
Yes.
but free voluntary reading would be a calming activity.
Yes.
Dee, I hope that clarifies that. Samantha said, word search. I always wonder about the research behind word searches when it comes to the brain. Some people call word searches busy works. Thoughts, Yanina?
Yes, that depends on what kind of word search you give them. I failed in giving my first graders a word search that's too hard for them. That was more than focus. I intended it to be really calm, and that was a headache. So don't do what I did.
And I would say the word searchers that I've done few word searches in the classroom, very few of them, and not against them, but the word searches that I have used, Samantha, since you asked this question, normally they have, I give them so usually the word searches that I've done in the classroom are like a follow-up to a chapter of a novel, and I might give the students a fill in the blank question, and the answer is actually on the word search. So they're using, they have to understand the statement in context, and it's not just for vocabulary where like find the translation or anything. So it's like to like, did you read the chapter? It's kind of like a formative assessment to know if they understood what the chapter was about.
Exactly.
And then we have, let me see, and we'll continue to move on because we have respect is the key component to all interactions and relationships. Absolutely. Yes, I love for my AP students to have taken AP English Lang before the AP Spanish Language and Culture because they already know how to write an essay. I could not agree with you more, Paula. Paula, this year, I think I mentioned earlier, I was doing component number 4 for the National Board Certification. And I had to really dig deeply into what I did teaching my AP class last semester. And I realized, because I had to look at different things, different aspects of my students that I had, and I realized that my students who were not heritage speakers, who performed the highest on task, were those students who had taken advanced composition, not AP ELA AP, because they don't offer that at my school, but the ones who took advanced composition performed so well and grew the most, and they had a trend of continuous growth because of that. At that level, those skills do transfer. Then Airam Gutierrez has a question. Can we design these walls on an online classroom? I'm pretty sure, Yanina, you have seen the newest trend with Bitmoji classrooms. I am not against it, but I just haven't had the time to do it because I have other projects going on. Although I might borrow some of Annabelle Williamson's awesome Bitmoji templates because she has an amazing course, and I know she has templates in there that I'm not gonna have to invest so much time because she already has it kind of like made for me. But what do you think
Whatever
about?
is technology based is engaging and energizing the brain. So whatever we do using technology will fall immediately in a category of engaging and energizing the brain. So even if we do a calm corner using technology, it will be engaging the brain because it stimulates the brain.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And with that, with that being said, Yanina, so is there anything whatsoever as we're delivering material? Because I know some teachers will have to do virtual learning coming next year. It's going to be different for different states. Some people are going to do some type of hybrid teaching.
Yes.
So with that being said, what can we do if we are going to be teaching online, some form of online teaching to calm their brains? Is there anything we can do other than tell them, okay, step away for 5 minutes or something like that?
Yes. Instead of asking them to do the Google Docs, maybe you want to say, oh, I want them to have a calm time and space, and you say, okay, write something on Google Docs. Don't do that. You have to trust them that they write it on a piece of paper, because while they write, they look at the screen and it stimulates the brain again. So you can just say, for this, use piece of paper, and then later you can take a picture, but just relax and write. Take 3 hours to write, but don't do it on the computer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Do you have any comments about guided meditation for our students? I know some teachers do that in the target language for our students.
Yes. Well, personally, I do meditate each morning, and we should encourage that. And also that if it is personal, and if we are going to do it through distance learning, we can encourage to go back to their spiritual side. Because when we talk about spiritual, we think about religions. No, spiritual, what is your spiritual side? To validate your beliefs. And you can say, whatever you believe is, do it at home. Take time. You don't have to report to me, but we have to encourage that, because we are physical, we are mental, and we are spiritual.
Absolutely.
So if we can now take advantage of that and say, invest in your spirituality, whatever it may look like for you.
And actually, that is so important when you said that, because just like for us as adults, that means a lot of different things for everybody.
Yes.
And it is so important to be clear about that with our students, because again, we want to keep our jobs.
Yes.
So yes, I absolutely agree. We guide them on that, and actually said whatever it is they believe in.
We validate.
And we validate. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And I wanted to tell you on the next slide.
If I can get to the next slide. Okay, what's up?
I have a compilation of over 700 strategies that you can get ideas from there. Yes, to calm the brain, engage and energize the brain through classroom design. A lot of strategies. I go really, 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 really in depth. And then for instruction, I have a lot of instruction strategies. Even for example, the white spaces that I mentioned on the walls, we have to have white spaces in instruction too. When we provide a paper, we need to make sure it doesn't have a lot of clip art. And on the paper, that is a white space there. And then a white space between classes. When you are giving a class or in between classes, give a gap, so it can be a white space between one class and the other. So white spaces is all over. So I go in depth for each thing. And I want always for teachers to do less, not feel like you have to do more, because the brain is simple. It sounds really fancy to say cognitive neuroscience, but really is simple. We know what works best. And we really have to be, this is a call, because nothing is new here, but this is a call to be intentional and always put our students' needs first.
Yes, and we talk about that, and in world languages, I think we're some of the most amazing teachers. Yes, everyone who's listening right now, and myself included, and Yanina included, because we value relationships with students so much, and we value intentionality so much with what we do in our classroom. That's why I was so excited for you to come over here, Yanina, because I feel not enough is being talked about the brain, and I know that everything that has been given to us, or for the most part, that has been given to us through professional learning at our schools, or sometimes when we have to justify to our administration, well, why do you not want to have desk in your classroom, or why do you want to have all of these posters in your classroom? Now we have science to back it up. And and that is so important when we have to advocate for our learning spaces and our students, and what's best for our students. And again, what might be best for my students might not be best for IRAM students or for Nelva's students. So I want to say that I think what you have done here is amazing, because you have put it in very teacher-friendly language. Not to say that teachers cannot read it on their own. Absolutely, yes. But I know that as a teacher, I love it when it's put in like simple terms and I can connect with it right away.
Yes.
It's comprehensible to teachers.
I teach first grade. I can't talk fancy. You can ask me, but I will not be able to talk fancy because I teach first grade. And actually, there is one cognitive function that says that when you try to put things in simpler ways, it is actually harder. So we have to do the same for students. We have to be intentional about putting things in the simplest ways, not lowering the standards of them thinking and going through their material. But in terms of us explaining, we have to be simpler and simpler each day.
Absolutely. I love that, because in world languages, we call that, we have to be comprehensible. So our messages need to be delivered in a way that all of our students understand them when we're talking to them in the target language. But that also applies to directions. That also applies to the structure of our classes. And making sure the students understand. And when we are delivering those simple messages, we tend to see behavioral disruptions go down as well. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to give you the direct link in just a moment. If you are interested in getting Yanina's book, we just kind of like want to share it with you because I think it's amazing. And you can have it, and you can
looks like a book there, but you can print it. And I have it all here, and I have it in a binder. And even I did it, I have it on my desk because I'm constantly, when I am planning, I go and see what is better for this, what is better for that.
All the reading you have done from all those books you have shared with you that we don't have time to read. you have taken the best of the best and kind of like put it in a way that it's applicable to our classroom in this book. So I'm really excited for it. But okay, so the book, if you want to purchase, you can purchase it. And by no means ever do we mean to sound salesy here. We hope you have gained from this session a lot, but we do have a freebie for you guys. Who's excited to hear about this? This is gonna like blow your mind. Okay, so first of all, I want to tell you that you can connect with Yanina through her Facebook group. Oops, let me go back. It's called Brain Tips for Your Classroom. So if you can go on her Facebook group, Brain Tips for Your Classroom, or you can connect with her through Instagram and let's.celebrate.learning. And she has a free conference, you guys, that's going to start on July 1st, right, Yanina?
But it is open now. That's a secret. You can go now and see it.
So all of the content is already in there, ready?
Yes.
Okay, so you can access the content right now, and I'm going to give you the link to that conference. It is absolutely 100% free, and I know that we have amazing teachers in this group right now who are into all these types of interests, and I just looked through some of the topics that are going to be discussed at this conference. We have like movement in the classroom, right? Music in the classroom, social emotional learning in the classroom. So Yanina has compiled the best of the best of her people that she knows to deliver these sessions for you guys, and they're absolutely free. I already have my spot in there, and I'm gonna be following until when is this conference gonna be open, Yanina?
Well, I don't want to be into tricky stuff. So whenever you go in, it will be there forever.
Oh wow. Okay. Yes. So it is the absolute best time to go check it out because it's our summer, and I know that, like I said, you guys are troopers because you're here learning with me on a Wednesday.
I give you a certificate that you can give to your admins. It is 16 hours, and teachers need that. Now.
Would you say, I mean, I know that Yanina, as we mentioned earlier, she's an elementary school teacher, but as you could see, the stuff that she was talking about, all the ideas she presented, the content she presented is very applicable to what we do in world languages. Yanina, do your friends who are presenting, do they come from different backgrounds of, I'm assuming,
from preschool to professor's university. This is the thing. The ones who have come to buy the guide, always send me messages. They are preschool teachers, homeschool moms, university professors, because these are principles, and you can apply them anywhere because they are principles. Everything we talked about, you can do it in any grade level, from kinder to university.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, I totally value everything that Yanina has presented on tonight and all of her work, and how hard she has worked to put together this conference and make it available for teachers. So please, I'm going to share the links with you, and I know you guys who are listening can't not wait. I'm going to share the links with you guys. If you give me a couple of minutes after our session is done, because I have to talk to Yanina about a couple of things, but after I will be posting that tonight, so be on the lookout for this, and please share it with your friends because it is free. And if you have any friends who are like nerdy, kind of like us,
Yes.
then you can share it with them. Share it with your principal so your principal can share it with everyone, because it's free. So who wants to miss out on this? It's absolutely amazing. And I want to end, Yanina, by thanking you for being here tonight and, just talking to our world language teachers and talking to me, because I've learned so much. And like I said, I found a lot of validation, and I now know that I have to get rid of my one of my walls somehow and make it a blank space.
Yes.
But
I feel like you have such a special group. I didn't see your friends in this group, but by the comments, by the way you talk to them, like, I feel it is a great community. So I'm so honored, really, really, to be here, because I can sense it is a very special community.
It is so special to me, and I just love the positivity, and I want to keep the positivity in here flowing all the time. Again, I want to talk to my teachers who are listening right now. I created this group as a place for us to learn together. Again, I don't claim to be the expert or anything, but anything that I know that I can help you learn, I just want to be here for you and transfer that to you if I can make your life easier, because I appreciate the people who made that part of my journey easier, like Annabelle Williamson and like Carrie Toad. And, right now, my friend Claudia Elliott and Diego Ojeda, like all these wonderful teachers have transferred so much knowledge to me. I'm so grateful. And it's time for me to give back. Please know that I'm not trying to give back as the expert, but I want to share what I know and what has worked for me. And if you're willing to receive it, I am just honored. And I will also say that, like I've mentioned, there is no one size fits all. So maybe some of the strategies here are not going to be geared towards different types of students.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, and when we have a student with special needs, and Yanina, please help me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just being vulnerable with you right here, right now, and with everyone else. But I know when I have had students with special needs in my classroom, I always turn to my teachers who come and assist me, or I always turn to professional learning, and I ask them for help with that to reach that specific student according to their IEP. And I think, or I might get a book. One year I actually got a book because I knew nothing about that student. So
Same.
what do you advise when we have students who, come to our class and maybe some of these approaches might not be a fit for them, or some of this, not approaches, what's the word I'm looking for? Tips.
Yes. Always, there are so many factors that we can be improving on. There, as you said, books and teachers who have had them before. But the number one thing, as you say it, and you have it as a theme in this community, is personal relationships, getting to know that child. Maybe we are not doing all the right things from the get-go, but from the get-go, we are letting them know that we are on their side and we are going to learn together to make this learning experience the best. So from the get-go, you need to be united to the child.
And the parents, I think, too.
You don't know everything from the get-go to help the child, but you can be with the child from the get-go.
Absolutely. And I think what helped me serve that child better also was to develop a stronger relationship with the parent and to be open with that parent and tell them that I honestly didn't have much experience in how to help their child. And they were such a supportive couple that helped me serve their child so much better.
I actually sent one of the tips that I didn't mention here. One of the tips in the guide is an inventory. I send an inventory to the parent if they want to answer it, and I ask everything about the child, all the favorite foods, all the favorite toys, all the favorite shows. Nothing too personal, but all the favorite places. An inventory of the child, and then I have in my toolbox everything that child likes in whenever I need it, because I need to reach that child and to everybody. But you know that you have students that you really need to get a secret weapon to get through.
Yes,
and I also inventory.
I'm looking forward to get your inventory, because I'm always trying to grow my inventory. I know a lot of us world language teachers have inventories we use at the beginning of the classroom to establish relationships, and I'm looking forward to looking at yours. Mine is like pretty lengthy already, but it is so needed. I even give them a grade for it because it is so important to me. I don't care if the grade doesn't measure anything, but it is such key information. I need it to be completed by the parent and the student, because it's that important to my curriculum and my relationship, most importantly. So thank you so much, Yanina. I know that our viewers tonight are like eager to get those links, so we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye for now, and we are going to close out. So thank you so much, guys, for being with us tonight, and thank you for staying until the end. Again, this presentation is going to be saved here in this group. If you have any friends you want to invite to the group, who are open to learning about everything that we can use in the classroom and integrate to be just, more strategic teachers and more effective teachers to our students, just invite them to join our community. I look forward to continuing to have these conversations with you guys. And until next Wednesday, again, I'm going to be talking about soaring with our students through a proficiency mindset. So I hope to see you then. And it will just be me, myself, and you guys listening to me. And I hope to see you here because I really love interacting with you. Thank you, guys, to everyone who said thank you. Mariela saying, love all the information shared. She's very thankful. Thank you for these valuable tips. It is so special to us, too. Muchas gracias. Looking at my white space now. Thank you both. Thank you. Guest speaker you brought in. Iram saying we appreciate you so much. Yanina, thank you so much. I will go over your conference. Thank you so much. And she says she's going to share it with her Savannah Arts Academy team. Mariela saying thank you, guys. You guys make my nights, because sometimes I'm, going live on Wednesdays and I'm like, who's going to be there? But it doesn't matter. Even if it's just 2 or 3 of you guys. You guys make me so happy. I love this community, and I look forward to continuing to grow with you guys. Take care. Thank you, Yanina.